Alright there folks, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of Fishing Adventures, and I'm back up at Redwood Park on the Ark Lake again. I'm sat in the 20s of the pegs. I ain't got a clue which peg I'm on, to be perfectly honest, but I'm up here again today because a lot of questions came up about fishing the short pole after the last session that I did up here with Ethan. The link will be up there in the description box somewhere. Now, the short pole is always a cracking line. If you can get fish short and shallow, you can catch them quickly. And if you're in a match situation, that is what it's all about, getting as many fish as you can in that net. But when do you start fishing it? How do you know when to drop onto it? There's two rules of thumb really. If I'm fishing a match, I will always start on that short pole line, okay, with top 2 kit plus 2 sections, purely because you don't know exactly what's going to happen through the match, and the first 10 or 15 minutes you're not going to win or lose it in that amount of time, okay? So the best thing to do, and what I tend to do, is I'll set up on that short line. I won't feed anything, I'll just use my hook bait, drop it in, and I'll see what people are doing around me. Now 9 times out of 10, if you're on a commercial, everyone will clip up a method feeder, bang it out and sit and wait. Okay, that's fair enough. You could do that and you might get an early fish. But what if that method doesn't work on that particular day? What happens if the fish were up in the water, they wanted it shallow or anything like that? You just don't know. So the best thing to do, set up that short pole line and just see what happens. Watch the other pegs, okay? I'm fortunate today where I am because there's a guy to my right of me fishing a method feeder. There's a guy to my left fishing a pellet waggler about 18 inches deep. And there's a guy a little bit further around that I can see, and he's fishing the feeder as well. So I'm going to just see what they do, really. If one method starts catching fish, then if I was in a match, I'd switch to that method, okay? Because it works, doesn't it? If other people are catching on it, it's a good thing to do. So what we're going to do is, I've not fed this short line. I'm just going to put a hook bait on, drop it in, see what happens. Okay, the rigs I've got a nice little small, see that there? Oh, where are we? Yeah, just a nice little round-bodied float. That's going to be my shallow rig, okay? But to kick this session off, I've got a wire-stemmed Chianti, okay? I've plumbed up and we're about, what's that, 3.5, 4 foot deep maybe? And I've got a nice strung out shotting pattern, okay, and that's going to let that hook bait, I'm going to throw it in so it lands in a line, so it's stretched out. That's going to allow that hook bait to float down, and I'm going to watch for indications on the float, and that will tell me roughly where the fish are, what depth they're in, okay? But as I said, I'm not going to feed a single thing yet. I just want to see if there's any fish there immediately, and then I'm going to work out if they want to feed or not. Okay, so let's go. Hook bait, dead simple. I'm just using maggots again, okay, because they're a go-to bait. They're going to work regardless, okay? So let's just see. So I'm just going to lay that rig in, flick it out, lay it in. So that's gone in a nice strung out, so I know that hook bait is just going to be drifting slowly through the full column of water on there, okay? And with it being a wire stem float, it will sit quite nicely straight away. And as those shots slowly sink, that will just get ready and level right there. Yeah, I hope you can see that on there on the camera, but I've just got a nice little 3mm of the bristle showing. And I'm just going to say there is a few fish showing shallow, but we've had a couple of really colder days, and we've had a bit of rain as well, so that might just slow them down a bit. Oh, there we go, I had a little indication there just as that float settled. So I've plumbed it up to the bottom of the body of the float, so I know that when that float is nicely settled, I've got about 1 inch of line on the deck. Okay, but that didn't go anywhere near where I wanted it to, and straight away we're into a little roach. Okay, so if the silver's there, we don't really want to feed because we don't want to encourage a ton of silvers into the peg. Ideally, we want to be focusing on the F1s and the carp. Okay, so we'll drop this in again with no feed on that line. Same again, just going to lay it in so that is nicely spread out, and we'll just watch for that float to settle. Yeah, you see straight away getting indications there. Yeah, we're in this, those tiny silvers right at the surface that are intercepting that. So, where's that gone? Okie dokie. So, what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to bait up and I'm going to feed a few. About 10, 8 or 10. And just see. Again, lay that rig in and just watch. You see they're getting it as soon as it's hitting the water, so they're right up. It looks like they're right up in the water column. So no indications as yet, and that float is down. There we go. And that was a bit deeper. That's a better fish. That's a bit of a nicer fish. Bream. Okay. So, in our imaginary match, we've probably got a pound on there now on that one. That came out mid-depth, nice chunky silver, 4-6 ounces maybe. Get a few of them in, and we'll be soon building a good weight. Only trouble is they're slimy as anything. So, feed 8 to 10 again. There's always a perch under your feet, isn't there? Count him, that was another ounce in the net. They all count. So we're fed, get this shipped back out. And again, that skimmer came 3/4 of the way down. We'll see, we're getting the indications as well about mid-depth. So if they carry on, it might be worth bulking those shot and dropping that float right down. Although they are just tiddlers. So, you've got two choices now really. Because we're feeding maggot, we can either increase the feed and try and feed those off, or if we were fishing pellet or caster, you could reduce the amount of feed that you're putting in, and then the little ones tend to lose interest, and that gives enough space and enough room for the bigger ones to move in. So again, I was going to feed twice this time, get a good bit of bait out there and just see, because if we can, we want to get amongst those bigger skimmers. Okay, going to take a while to build a weight, but having said that, you're putting fish in the net, so you're kind of building a weight already. And if someone down there does get a carp out or an F1 on the feeder or the pellet waggler, you know that that's the method that you want to be trying on next, yeah? And then you can keep feeding this shallow line, this short line rather, and use the tactic or the method that is working, that is catching. It could be that the pellet feeder is going to work today, or it could be the pellet waggler. But unless people are stringing together a good amount of fish, it's difficult to know what method is going to be best to use. And if you can string together a few of these, you're still soon going to build up a bit of a weight, and with the noise and the commotion, it's going to attract other fish in, because F1s are really nosy as it is. And if you can start bagging them on your short line, then you're going to stick at it. And then depending on how your session unfolds and develops, will dictate then what you do next. But There's nothing better than fishing a short line, preferably shallow, and bagging a few fish in. Because it's done me. Because while you're watching everybody else, you're getting a good idea of how the day's going to go overall. Because if you fish a venue regularly, you know roughly what weight you're going to need on any given day that's going to put you in the frame for that match. So as long as you don't panic and freak out in the first hour if you've not got anything, providing nobody else is bagging, then I won't worry too much. But if someone's using a method, well, it's a slightly better one. If someone's using a method and they're stringing together a few fish, then get on it, basically. Whoopsies. There we go. It's another nice, decent chub, actually. Way up. Get in there, chub. Beautiful. So again, another 4 to 6 ounces. And while we've done that, no one else has had a fish out as yet. And how long's that been? It's not been long, has it? Oh, there was a splash to the right of me. Yeah, he's in, he's on the feeder. So he's had a fish. So we can assume if it's on the feeder, it's going to be an F1 or a carp. But if we can get into these bigger silvers, especially those skimmers and the good sized roach or chub, is it worth staying on this line, or is it worth putting a feeder out? And this is where it gets a bit tricky. So what I would do personally, I would keep looking and listening, seeing what's going on, and I would keep fishing on this short line. Obviously try not to lose fish. And another good thing that you could try as well, which is what I am tempted to do, the better silvers seem to be slightly deeper in that column of water. The smaller ones like these, they're following the bait down and intercepting it. So the bigger ones, that chub and the bream, they took it when it was on the bottom. So there's obviously a few further down, and if the better fish are further down, it might be worth moving the shotting pattern about. Okay, so if you've got another top kit with a bulk rig, get that one out and start fishing it now. If you've only got a couple of top kits or one, it's time ideally to be changing your shotting pattern, because that bulk will make sure that your bait goes down past these smaller 2-3 ounce nuisance fish and hopefully get you into those bigger fish straight away, because it's not flowing down, it's the bulk is going to get that hook bait to the bottom quicker. So that's what I'm going to do now, and this is where marking your depth on your pole is important, okay? Because before I had a telltale shot just under the float, so I knew roughly where my depth was. Okay, so what I've got now then, if you can see that, I've got a strung bulk there of 5 number 8s, got 1 number 8 there onto the hook length. Okay, so we're going to try that now, and hopefully that'll get us down into where those bigger fish are faster, and we'll get into the bigger fish. So again, just lay the rig in, that bulk will take that hook bait down, so that float's going to settle straight away, and then that little last drop of that telltale shot will just trim it right down. So there's 2 or 3 mil of the bristle showing, and we should be in that kill zone now where those bigger fish are. So we're just going to keep feeding as well, keep that feed going in, because ideally what we'll want to do is get them up in the water. There we go. Bigger fish, yeah. Dear. So that yeah, okay. Dear. Right then, so should we do a cheeky edit and edit that bit out, or what? Or should we leave it in? I think we'll leave it in. Let's be honest, Let's be honest. So yeah, in theory, that hook bait should be in the kill zone where the bigger fish are. And he's been, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Shocker. I don't know. Dear. And while we've been doing that, the guy fishing the pellet wagger's just got into a fish, so it could be that they are coming to start a bit shallow. So I'm going to increase the feed because I'm feeding maggots, and to be honest, you can fill a venue in with maggots in summer. As long as you can get down to where the fish are, into that kill zone, ideally, is perfect. I don't believe this. They're getting small. Talk about calling me a liar. At least he came off. That's it. So that floater's settled now. So that hook bait is on the bottom with an inch of line. So we know if there's any movement on there now, it's going to be a bite. But I'm not going to lift and drop. I'm going to keep it on the deck, because hopefully there'll be a few more. So it's always good as well when you get your box set up, have your bait to hand so you can just feed with one hand, especially when you're fishing short. So again, just keep trickling that bait in every 20-30 seconds, maybe less if there's a few there. But again, just find it. He's still not landed that fish on his pellet waggler, so it must be a good size. Again, it's just getting into that rhythm as well, that habit, those little patterns. It's like drop your rig in, feed. You just maintain that food going in, maintain the consistency, developing that pattern, just get into the routine, the habits, and eventually it'll slowly build your swim up. It'll build it, and it should, in theory, get better and better. Once these little ones have been fed off, some of the better ones are going to move in. It will attract the F1s in as well, because F1s are nosy, and they are attracted to noise. Couldn't really see what size fish that was that he had on pellet waggler, but we can assume it was a couple of pound anyway. So we'll just keep an eye on him. I've not heard anything else from the guy to my right, so he had that one on the feeder, didn't he? But he's not had anything else. And I'm a bit reluctant to change, because even though they're small, we are attracting fish in just by feeding regular. And if we can keep attracting them in, the bigger ones are going to come in eventually. They always do. That's why it's a good idea, if you switch off from this short line and you do go onto a method feeder, that you keep remembering to put that feed in, okay? It doesn't have to be as regular, but keep the feed going in, because with an hour left on the match or anything like that, you want to be dropping back in on this or into your margin swim, and then you know that it's primed and ready. Because if that feed keeps going in, they're not going to get spooked off the next time your hook bait is present in your swim, okay? So that was a nice little skimmer, 3 or 4 ounces again. So, and as I say, in summer with maggots, you can literally fill it in. In winter, it's a totally different story. I wouldn't feed anything unless I was confident that the fish really wanted to feed. Because I've been in situations before where you've had one, you've then fed and it's killed it completely. You've then had to go and find where the fish have been again, and you just waste a bit of time. But in summer, you can guarantee that they will be wanting a feed. They go crazy in summer, don't they? Especially on commercials. Yeah, you see there's swirls now when that feed's hitting, so that's another indication then that the fish are coming up in the water as that feed is going in. So if the F1s and the carp have moved in shallow, it's maybe time to get on that shallow rig, but maintaining that pattern of feeding. So feed, drop your rig in over the top, feed again if you think they need it after a few seconds, and just keep that pattern up. Because if they're coming right up shallow, you can switch to your shallow rig and hopefully bag a few, and then if they die off for whatever reason, then you can try going deeper again and seeing if some of the better fish have maybe dropped down onto the deck. But yeah, there's been nothing happening around me again. Pellet waggler guy's not had any other bites. neither of the feeder lads. If I was getting more consistent swirls as the feed was going in, I'd be a bit more open to that shallow rig going in. Again, there's just the odd swirl on the top when that feed's going in, and the float is getting knocked about, so those fish are shallow. So what I'm going to do is give this a few more seconds, see if I get a bite, and then if not, we'll get on that shallow rig. Missed him. Right, let's get that shallow rig out. Okay, so yeah, the shallow rig, dead simple. Okay, we've got a nice little round bodied float. We've got 3 number 8s there as a little bulk, and then a little short hook length, which is 4 inches, and that's onto an 18 hook. So again, we're just going to stick on a single white maggot. Okay, we're going to feed before we drop it in. Fishing a total there, probably 15-inch deep, if that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to drop that in. Whoa. And again, if you'd have seen my other video about the importance of a disgorger, you definitely shouldn't be fishing unless you've got one in your tackle bag, basically. Speed this process up a little bit, I guess, but another one in, and again, no one else has had any bites at all. So this is, if this was the match, the situation that I would be in, I wouldn't be mega happy because I'm not catching any Carper F1s, but how long have we been fishing for now? And I ain't even got a watch on. 20 minutes or so, and saying that guy down there has just got another one. That sounds like a slightly bigger fish. That was on the feeder, but the other 2 guys up there haven't. Now the only thing is with the match is you can't see all the other pegs, but it gives you a good idea of what's going on the lake, and as much information as you can get, even at the start of a match, just by doing this for 15-20 minutes, gives you a picture of what should be happening, and then you can make your decisions based on the day rather than a preconceived idea. Having said that, guy over there on that bend is just playing a fish now, and he's been on the feeder. Oh, way up. That's a slightly better one. And again, it's that. That's come out. It's a nice chub again. It's like 6-7 ounces. They soon add up. And if you're catching consistently out of your peg, and the other guys are catching the odd 1 or 2, then you know you've got to make that decision. Is it worth persevering with this, catching short and shallow, knowing that there's the odd good sized fish in and amongst, or would you bin it off and put the feeder out? Personally, and this is probably where I'd go wrong, is I'd stick on this line for now. I'd persevere with it. I'd keep chopping between the shallow line and the deep line, and hopefully draw those bigger fish in as the session went on. Now, if the guys either side of me on the feeder started bagging up and putting together a good string of fish, then I'd be tempted to put the feeder in, you know. But with this stamp of fish, as fast as you can get them in and back out, you know, you can soon build a good weight of silvers. And we know from experience that later on in the day, your margins are going to come alive as well. So you've always got that as your second option late on. If you are worried and you need that extra bonus fish, come off this short line and blast them in your margins for an hour. Just keep an eye on what everyone else is doing. You know, again, if it's getting to that last hour of the match and you notice the guys around you are fishing the margins and they're bagging a few, then get in the margin. Don't waste your time umming and ahhing about it. It's a clear-cut decision. If other people are catching in the margins, get in there. It's as simple as that, because that's where the fish are, basically. So there's a slightly better stamper roach in there now, and that chub. So we'll keep plugging away for now. Not like making any drastic decisions yet based on that. So I just keep feeding. Again, lifting, dropping, feeding, getting that rhythm and that routine. Those big fish will come. There we go. And that's the big fish. That is the bonus fish. Okay, no one else has caught much. You've been hooking a few silvers, a few small ones. You've got probably what, £1.5 in net, and then you know that this bad boy here is going to be well worth it. So when you're playing this bonus fish, don't worry about trying to rush him and get him in. Just let him play. Okay. And while you're doing that, if you can, if you're able, just keep feeding this shallow line. Keep that bait going in. Okay. This is a nice F1, and you can pull him a bit today because I've got the better elastic in this kit, and that was the most shocking bit of netting I have ever seen in my bloody life. So, oh man. And there we go. And that is why it's important to start off on that short line. So if you just set up on your feeder like everybody else, you would literally have either one or nothing in your net, and you've just added that into your keep net. Okay, that's a good £1.5, £2. What you want to do as well is work out what sort of weight you're going to need. I think the match up here the other day, Davy Barker won it with 80 odd pound or 93 or something. It was around there. So you know roughly what you need to be catching and what sort of fish you need to be targeting to get that sort of weight put together. Okay. But again, don't panic. You're not going to win or lose a match in your first hour. Okay. Unless there's a £60 sturgeon in here and you hook him first chuck, and then you're kind of pleasure fishing for the rest of the day, aren't you? But you know what I mean. Oh, and he's in again next door to me. Ah, pants, man. And he's done me. Right then, so the guy next door to me is in again, and he's on the method feeder. So we'll keep an eye on him, because if we can get him shallow, get those chunky F1s coming in shallow, we can stick on that, because we can get him in and get him out faster than he can on there. And if we're getting an average stamp of say £2.5 every other put-ins, for instance, you have to see how your session goes. But if, I'm not happy about losing that one. So yeah, where was I? So yeah, if he's bringing in £5 F1s, £5 carp on the method feeder, and we're catching, say he's had what, is that his second fish? No, that's his second fish since we started. Now we've been fishing 20 minutes, if that. So he's had what, £10. So he's slightly ahead of us on weight. But if we can persevere with this, get those chunky F1s coming in, maybe a bonus carp, we can soon catch him up. And because we can get him in and ship back out and be fishing faster, the advantage is with us, even though it might not appear it at the moment. Okay, and that's where panicking doesn't pay. Okay, you've got to make calculated decisions. And it's alright me saying that, because when I was fishing a match, if I didn't have £100 in net after the first hour, I'd literally cry. So these are getting slightly bigger, these roach now. Oh, another little skipper actually. Hooked him right in his eyeball, the weirdo. Supposed to eat your food, not fucking Maybe it was checking out my hook tying skills, who knows? But again, it's another tiny little weight booster. And again, depending on what you need, on some matches you maybe need those £20 of silvers and 2 or 3 bonus carp. But again, it depends on the fishery, it depends what sort of match weight you're going to be looking to get, what you need for the frame or the win or whatever. But again, don't panic. It's take your time, feel your way into the session. If someone's bagging up totally on one method, switch and use that. And again, I said earlier, you've also got to keep your eyes on your margins as well, because they will come alive later in the day, you know, where you get those proper puddle pigs moving in and snaffling up everything. And that's ideally what you want. And again, this is another nice little skimmer. And again, given a choice of sitting behind a feeder, not really doing much, or slowly piecing together a weight, I'd rather be fishing, you know, I'd rather be catching. Because you can always build another swim a little bit later on as well. You don't always have to. If this one dries up for whatever reason, you could always add 2 or 3 sections onto your pole and fish a wee bit further out and just start again, you know what I mean? That's the thing. On commercials, you can choose another swim. Generally, you'd start off maybe with one at 10 o'clock and one at 2 o'clock at, say, 10 metres. You could feed one with, say, pellet, micros and 4mm on the hook or whatever, and then your other one you could fish with hard pellet or corn or whatever, depending on what time of year it is and that, and just see which one's going to produce you the best fish. It gives you options, but remember as well, this is the beginning of the match. This is that first period of time where everyone's feeling their way into the session, and we're already starting to build a nice suitable weight. And people around us, and the people around us aren't, okay? And that is an advantage as well. And believe me, I've been in situations where I've been in matches and I've started off on one method, and the guy next to me has done basically what I'm doing today. He's started off short, he were catching shallow, and he kept on it, and within about an hour, I was like suicidally depressed because I'd had 1 carp and all I heard was him bringing his pole in, shipping it backwards and forwards and splashes and getting his landing net out and stuff like that, and I was absolutely just like, oh my god, what the hell, I'm getting absolutely beaten up. And in reality, he wasn't. He was stringing together fish like I've got, some good skimmers, roach, the odd F1, but psychologically I was beaten straight away within an hour of the match. And he did beat me, not by much, but he did beat me. And I know that if I'd have concentrated on my match and done what I wanted to do, but remembered, because he was fishing short and shallow, if I'd have switched to short and shallow, I'd have probably beaten him. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to balance it out. It's as much a mental game with yourself as it is with the fish. Because the fish are stupid, let's be honest. You know what I mean? People say fish are intelligent, but they can't be that smart. I mean, especially if you're a carp angler. And I've got nothing against carp anglers, but the fish are stupid. Okay, they say, oh yeah, you've got to use this rig because the fish get used to a certain type of rig. Well, that's all very well and good, but you're fishing an 18mm Illuminous orange boiler. That's not natural, is it? And if that doesn't spook them off, why is a certain hook pattern going to do? Do you know what I mean? It don't make sense to me. Does not make sense. But a lot of things in fishing don't. It really don't. It's like white top kits. Yeah, fair enough, I can see the advantage. But you watch any match, what colours do people wear? I mean, Jesus Christ, some of them are wearing white, some of them are wearing like royal blue like this, navies, reds, God knows what colour. So they're like telegraphing to to the moon what they're wearing, because you can see them from outer space because they're wearing colours that bright. And then they'll catch fish with a top 2 literally under the feet, but they'll use a white top 2 in case they spook a fish at 16 metres. What is all that about? That just don't make sense to me at all. It's either dress conservatively so you don't spook the fish and just use your freaking top kit that came with your pole, or wear camo. Do you know what I mean? If you're that bothered about spooking them, go to an army surplus store like your carp anglers do. But then again, your carp anglers hide in bivvies and they're casting the rigs out 150 yards, so the fish aren't going to see them anyway. What's all that about? I don't get it, honestly. I don't get it. Comment below. Just leave a comment if you understand what it is. I just don't. I don't get it. I'm sorry, lads and lasses. I just don't understand. Ah, dear. I don't know. But anyway, I digress yet again in another video. Ah, dearie me. So yeah, if this has made sense to you, or it's something that you're going to try, give the video a like. Subscribe if you haven't already. I mean, why haven't you? Get subscribing and watching my videos. Oh, my maggots come off now. And leave a comment below. Get involved, okay? There's a link in the description, okay? There'll be a little triangular little button that says more, and if you click that, it opens up the description, and in there's loads of other goodies like my Facebook page and links to some super proper cool videos and stuff like that. So get watching, get subscribing, get liking my videos. Yeah, because it all helps. It all helps. I guess what I'm going to do now is I'm going to increase the feed. I'm going to feed as I'm shipping out, and then I'm going to feed the rig as it's in, and then as soon as I get a bite, I'm going to feed again, and hopefully that'll just encourage those bigger fish back in. There's plenty of food going in through that water column, and again it also gives me the option then, if I'm still getting plagued by those small fish, I can try just fishing a bit deeper on that same swim. Whoa, that's the better fish. Oh, you. So yeah, increasing that feeding then. Look, ooh, yeah, massive load of bubbles then, look. He's definitely dived down to the bottom. And that was a lot bigger fish as well. Oh, he's tangled me up actually. That was a lot bigger fish, that was. I know we're not in a match, it's just a virtual practice type match, but I'm actually really enjoying the sport. It's good fun. It's good fishing. It's always been good fishing up here. Redwood Park was the very first commercial that I fished when I got back into fishing. Can't even remember how long ago it was now, but I'd lost my appetite for fishing and I wanted to get back into it. So I bought a couple of magazines. I bought Match Fishing magazine and Improve Your Course Fishing magazine or something like that. And I was, And I was like reading all about the carp and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, hang on a second. When I fished matches, it was on local canal. And if you had 8 ounces, you'd guarantee a win. Do you know what I mean? We'd fish pinky and squat for 8 ounces of fish on an evening. And it were mint. And then I was reading these stories about guys catching 150 odd pound of carp in matches and stuff like that, and I was like, no way, man, that's a load of cack, that's just not going to happen. And then there was one article in particular that really got my interest, and it was margin fishing, and it was, I can't remember who it was, but basically they were fishing in something like 9 inches of water. And I was like, no way does that happen. That's so much bull. So I had a look online. Redwood Park cropped up. I thought, yeah, that looks like the place for me. So I rooked up and I fished the Arg. I fished peg number 2. I'll never forget it. And I started up method feeder. Never fished a method feeder before. And I was getting a few carp out and a few F1s. And I was like, yeah, this is looking really cool up here. And I thought, you know, it was getting a bit later on in the day, so I thought, oh, I'll try this geezer's method for margins and see what happens. And lo and behold, I'd found about a foot of water, and I'd put on like 3 grains of corn, dropped it in, and literally the float buried. I didn't even see the float disappear. It just went, and the elastic was just pouring out of the top of the pole. I was like, I don't freaking believe it. So I ended up having to put more sections on pole because this fish just shot straight out. And after about 10 minutes of a good hard fight, this absolutely stunning ghost carp came out. It was absolutely freaking ginormous. I'd never seen anything as big other than a cod. And that was it. I was kind of hooked again on fishing, and this is the place that did that. And I love it up here. I absolutely love it. So if you're in the York area and you really want a good day's fishing, get yourself up here. I'll put a link in the description to their Facebook page, and yeah, just get yourself up here. Seriously, it's just a phenomenal venue. They've just opened up 2 more lakes as well. I've not fished them yet, but I will be doing very soon. So yeah, get up here. And again, another nice chunky chub. So we're building that way up. I wish I'd bought my counter actually, see how many fish we have got, because we can't complain, can we? We can't complain. And again, everything else has gone very quiet. No one else has had any fish. I just hope these don't move out because I've only got a margin pole. I sold my pole ages ago. Ah dear, because I'd fallen out with fishing lakes. I was going to focus just on the rivers, but what a dumbass. So if anyone wants to help me out with a pole, let me know. Drop a comment. The deep rig out again. I just want to drop one in over the top just to see, because it might be that we've fed it enough that there's going to be some fish on the deck. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a double maggot on this one, and then I'm going to feed early, feed quite a few, drop this in. With that bulk, it'll get it through straight down to the bottom quicker. The lad on the, wow, here we go. That's a slightly better fish, or it feels it anyway. Yeah, that's that skimmer look. And that was just down deeper. Okay. So we've obviously fed enough in there now to get those fish lower down towards the deck. And if we can get a few of these bigger, slime everything up, mate. Get a few of these fish out. That's a better stamp, isn't it? Even though they do take slightly longer to catch. Again, it's about building the weight, getting into that habit and the routine, and just, if you're getting plagued by the small fish, swap back onto your deep rig and just see. And again, just slightly alter the way you feed. Okay, so you want your hook bait to get down through that initial feed straight away, so you're not going to get plagued by those little fish. So a good chunk of feed that'll occupy those silvers. Your bait should plummet down unnoticed and just settle slightly over depth on bottom. Now then, this is a decent fish. Again, that was just fishing deep, but I've still been feeding this line, and while you're playing it, just keep that feed going in as well. Okay, it's a nice chunky something and nothing. He's off again. Oh, he's a good carp, nice size carp. Always a pain in the butt. Nice fish, aren't there? Don't be worried either if you're playing a fish and he's going right through your fed area, because they tend not to take too much notice, to be honest. They just think it's a ruffian in a bar getting thrown out by bouncers or something. They all have a good look and then leave them to it. Come on, fishy. There we go. There's the hook. Oh, there's the bloody line for that one. What's this? Clunker. Whoa. Yep. This is definitely a better fish. So they're just starting to get better now as the session is progressing. That feed is going in and more good sized fish in there. Alright, nice size F1. Where are you going, fish? Oh God, it's right underneath me bloody feet. Jesus, wet. Christ. So again, another chunky F1, good 3 pound, and again that was after that carp. We had a couple of diddlies, didn't we? But the bigger fish are there now. They're coming in now, aren't they? Again, just upping that feed. I've just upped for that feed slightly, and it's just seemed to have just sparked on a few better sized fish. Oh, I up in again. There we go. Oh, get him in net actually. Oh my God. Good sized roach. And again, better stamp than we've had. So I'm quite confident now that we could probably stay on this line until probably the last hour, and then just try the margins, you know, just getting into that rhythm, getting into that routine. Oh, there we go again. That's a better fish as well. Oh. Bream shallow. Who'd have thought that, eh? But that's what it's about, just persevering. You know. Really ramping that feed up now. Get a few of them coming in. They're mega confident. So now we can start proper giving it them and start really building that weight, that good weight now. Again, Waggler guys had one maul out, feeder guys had one other fish out, and we've been constantly catching pretty much one a chuck, haven't I? And they have just got better and better through the session, and that's all you can really ask for, you know, in any session, whether it's pleasure or a match or anything like that. Have the confidence. Just keep working that rig. There we go. That's a better fish again. See, look, just this is a proper puller, this one. I like your puller. Keeping that feed going in, just encouraging them in. Oh, that's a lovely fish, that. Looks like a nice fish. Common carp by the look of it. Again, maintain that feed going in, keep those fish there. He's trying to get me in a snag down here on the right hand side. Don't you dare, don't you dare. That's better. Out there, out there. Oh, he's proper pulling. Oh, he's gone. He's gone. Try and get him back somehow. To be fair, he didn't even look that big. He just took off. And now he's not coming back. Jesus. Oh, this elastic's proper doing its job. Oh, lost him. Oh. But again, like I said, keep your eye on what other people are doing, and if someone suddenly starts getting a fish a chuck, doing something different to what you're doing, then switch to that method and try it, because the fish have obviously switched on to a certain method or certain style. Just keep your options open, basically, and just see what happens. Oh, that was a proper bite, wasn't it? Proper did me though, stole my maggot. So yeah, well, I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment as well if you want to, and if you haven't already, hit subscribe. Show me some love, and I'll catch you next time.